What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Miami Heat getting their best win of the season over the Phoenix Suns. That one felt good. It felt good. I felt like you could feel the release from them as soon as Jimmy Butler gets that stop on Devin Booker. They win 113 to 112 over a good Phoenix Suns team. 8-4 coming in. You drop them to 8-5. The Heat get back to 500. I just thought, I just felt it was needed. They've had so many of these games down to the wire. Some have gone their way. Most of them have not. And, you think about the crushing loss that they had to the Blazers the other day, the tough loss that they had to the Pacers. You start getting on some kind of a roll, and Kyle Lowry talked about this, get back to 500, kind of reset the season, and getting that win tonight just felt immensely, immensely important for them because, Phoenix was making some really, really tough shots tonight. That's a very, very talented team. Devin Booker has just rounded off into one of the best scorers of the league in the league. He's dynamic all over the place. Every time he throws up a shot, you feel lucky that it doesn't go in. He's very, very special. But he's not as special as Jimmy Butler on defense, because Jimmy Butler was putting the clamps on him, dude. That fourth quarter, it was going right. Third quarter was tough. Third quarter was one of those typical, it was one of those we've seen this just out, rebounded in a tough way. DeAndre Ayton and Torrey Craig were crushing the Heat on the offensive glass. They were getting second chance opportunities. I think they took 99 shots tonight for, which was, what was that, 16 more than Miami. Now, we'll get to one of the storylines of the game. A lot of Miami's attempts did go to the free throw line as well. But that was very, very frustrating in that third quarter. DeAndre Ayton, who doesn't want to be there in Phoenix, he was a monster, and it felt like he was making his impact in a big, big way. A super efficient third quarter that really the Heat just couldn't do anything with his length. It felt like he was very active, but it really was just that one quarter from him. It felt like everything that he brought to the table, he brought to it in that moment, and they really couldn't bottle that up. It still felt like, though, the Heat were in a bit of an uphill climb in that fourth quarter, and then Jimmy Butler comes back in, and all hell breaks loose. The Heat just get to absolute thievery. They were hounding the Suns. They were getting turnovers left and right, and so you had two things that really swung this game. One was Jimmy Butler's defense infecting everybody else and bringing that type of energy. And the other was Bam Adebayo. And Bam Adebayo on the break was doing some sensational stuff. And we really are, I hope you guys are paying attention to what this guy's been putting forth these last few games, because Bam is starting to roll into some kind of a fast break monster. We all know that he has this talent in him, but 25 years old and really just entering his prime. He is, today it was very, very dynamic. And I thought it was a big thing because it did feel like it was, there was some growth that he had to go with, because I think he was getting frustrated a little bit with going against Dayton, and he was taking some, weird fadeaways that weren't going his way. And sometimes he can fall a little in love with that jumper because it looks so pretty. But, when I see a box score like this and you see that imprint, that's it almost, you look and you're like, this is where things can really unlock for him. And he was a monster today, man. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 12 of 14 from the free throw line. Put his head down, put some insane moves on the break. He had this one spinning move and one that was just absolutely sick. And the crowd just got on absolute fire for him when he was getting going. It was an awesome, awesome sight for the Miami Heat. And then Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler was hounding Devin Booker at the end of this game. And that was an interesting thing. It was a quote I saw. I don't know who it was. I think it was Sean Devaney who did the article, but he said he talked to a Western Conference coach who had said that, the Miami Heat can't win a title with Jimmy Butler as their best player, that they essentially need Bam Adebayo to be their best player. And I'm torn on that, because I think Jimmy Butler is one of the best postseason players we've ever seen. I think that he's incredible, but I do think there is something to the idea of Bam Adebayo and the ceiling that he hits and the leaps that he takes are what's going to make the Miami Heat special again. Like that, they've already been to multiple Eastern Conference Finals with him. He's been the best player in an Eastern Conference Finals with him. You wish that he was able to make the impact that he would have in that finals, but his arm was not fully intact when they took on the Lakers, and then had two really monster games against the Celtics last year, and you wish it would have been enough to get over the hill because I think that would have been a fascinating matchup against the Warriors. That being said, you almost wonder if it's like a Dwayne Wade, LeBron James type of thing where Dwayne Wade, had to kind of give the car keys to LeBron James and take that step back, and they realize whose team it is and who can make that impact offensively. And I still think that, look, Jimmy Butler is still going to have his moments, just like D Wade did, and still going to be clutch. But I do think that this idea of Jimmy being able to be that hound that he is on defense and distribute the ball, that's how he likes playing basketball. He says this. He's not the guy who likes to dominate. Now, playoff Jimmy's going to play off Jimmy, and I still think watching him do what he does in the postseason is tremendously fun. But if a lot of this regular season can be harboring this for Bam, I think it would be huge. I think it's going to be huge for what they turn into by the end of this thing. And that was really tremendous to watch the entire night. Those guys were absolutely awesome. Jimmy Butler, he gets the block on Devin Booker. They finish off the game. Jimmy Butler goes immediately over to Eric Spoelstra. Big emotional hug. And my immediate reaction to it was like, man, they just felt like they needed that. To not only get even, but like win it in that type of way. Asked Jimmy Butler about the Spo hug after the game. This is what Jim VP had to say.
Jimmy, you get to stop there at the end, you get very emotional and go over and hug Spo. What'd you say to him, and I guess why was that the reaction?
Just because it's not going to be on offense every night for anybody, not just myself. We got so many guys that can score some buckets, but I love the fact that we won this game on the defensive end, and that's all that was. Let them know that we can win any way, shape, or form. But this is a good one. It feels good to know that the reason that we really, really, really won the game is because we started rebounding in a little block.
Meanwhile, Bam Adebayo getting done what he gets done on the offensive side of it. Here is what Bam had to say about his offensive role tonight.
No, I was just in a great flow. Coach wants me to get to the free throw line. I got to the free throw line tonight. I shot free throws like Jimmy. I was just in my wheelhouse tonight. And that was from shoot around, coach telling me what he wanted. And went out and got the W.
And the Heat get back to 7-7, back to 500, which is a nice mark for them. Kyle Lowry was talking about the importance of that, getting back to 500, and this is the Heat's point guard afterwards on getting back to that mark.
We just got to continue to build. It's a great feeling, but we got to continue to grow and not be satisfied with just being at 500. We want to continue to kind of take it game by game and just continue to build our group, build our camaraderie, and kind of just build the throughout the season and take this. It's not a sprint; it's a long marathon.
I thought Spo had some fascinating stuff tonight, though, on his two best players, on Bam and on Jimmy, and just how good they are, but how similar they are. And he said this before in past years. Even their first year together, he would say that he thought that Bam was a center version of Jimmy. And, he alluded something to that similar.
He's just such a key player. He's such a winner. He's an absolute winner. He can morph into so many different roles for us, where he makes it look so much easier. To the average fan, everybody just wants him to score 40. That's not necessarily the whole deal, but him being understanding how to read defenses and what's necessary for this team and when to be assertive, when to create for others, when to set screens for guys. Look, I've never coached really somebody where there's been so many different responsibilities and then so many opinions about what he needs to do, and basically it's all about that final line of the box score. that doesn't tell the true tale of how he's able to impact. But that assertiveness and aggressiveness to the rim. He's a rugged player at his finest, like Jimmy. They're really so similar, just in different positions. And when he's able to make those kind of aggressive plays in the paint, at the rim, get to the free throw line, and that sets up some other things for him. You know, he's really improved his pull-up jumper in the paint. That's a go-to shot for him. But he still creates so many opportunities for other guys as well. He's such a willing, serving player, and that's why everybody respects him so much in that locker room.
They have they do have a real dynamic duo in this league, and I think that it doesn't get the respect it deserves because they're not both looked upon as pure bucket getters. They're not looked upon as pure scorers, but it's hard to find two guys who are as efficient, as good on the offensive side of the ball, and then as dominant as they are defensively, and the kind of impact they can make. And that's the beauty of them. That's the thing that's just really, really tremendous about watching these guys go to work and doing what they do. There was some chicanery. There was some shenanigans after the game. As we were doing the Heat thing, apparently Monty Williams, he was belly aching. He was upset. He said that a 25-4 free throw discrepancy was, quote, hard to swallow, and that he didn't feel like he could really talk about it because you have fear of getting fined. Well, say what you mean what you say, or do what Eric Spoelstra does, which is a preemptive NBA, do not fine me, and then they don't, because Eric Spoelstra is a bully to the refs, and they don't fine him. He just says what he says, he means what he says, and he gets away with it. But Monty Williams was upset about the free throw discrepancy, and I will be honest, I'm not going to, I will say, at one point I do look at the box score, I'm like, they've only shot 3 free throws? That's kind of crazy. But if you really think about this game, there's a couple of things that are interesting about this. One, Devin Booker, okay, he leads them in shot attempts tonight, right? And if you go to Devin Booker's shot chart, which you can go to ESPN, you can put up his shot chart. Devin Booker took 2 shots at the rim tonight. 2 shots at the rim. Okay, so your star is not going to get a ton of calls. He kept saying there was bumping and grinding all over the place. Okay, it's a tough defensive game, but most of the time you're going to get those calls. It's attacking the rim. He took 2 shots at the rim. He took 2 shots in the restricted area. DeAndre Ayton feasted, but it was mostly like put back dunks and nobody was around. That was the frustrating thing about DeAndre Ayton is he kept getting buckets with nobody around him. And, Mikal Bridges, 2 shots in the restricted area. Two like basically right at the rim. So, okay, these are mostly jump shots from him. Made some tough buckets. Torrey Craig was in the paint a lot today. A lot of his stuff was annoying little putbacks. Dwayne Washington, who I never heard of, he lit the Heat up from 3. So, I looked at the shot chart, I'm like, all right, where are the missed calls? And then if you really look at the Heat, because I saw this Eddie Johnson who loves to bust on the Heat. He's their John Crotty. He's their radio or he's their television analyst. And he said on Twitter, and he gives the Heat a lot of hell. Best game I have ever seen play where a team gets 4 free throw attempts in a 48-minute game and the other gets 25. Suns lose by 1, which is kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. One, the Suns had this game in the bag and they completely yacked it up. And I love the fact that they're all sitting here blaming free throws. Like, you didn't just keep turning the ball over and over and over and over and just couldn't hold on to the basketball. The other funny thing is, the Heat's, free throw discrepancy, I guess you could look at it as outrageous. Like, the only guy who really was a parade to the free throw line tonight was Bam. Bam was the only guy who took a ton of free throws for Miami because the other guys, he took 14. And if you saw the game that he had today, you would say that's very much deserving the way Bam Adebayo played this basketball game. The only other people to shoot free throws for the Heat, Duncan Robinson shot a couple of free throws. Kyle Lowry was 3 of 4. It's not like a parade to the free throw line for him. And Jimmy Butler, who's one of the best free throw guys in the league, guys at getting to the free throw line in the league, He shot 5, which is usually like, I think, what is his career? You know, he usually gets to the free throw line like 8, 9 times a game. He's usually the guy who gets there 14 times a game. So I really don't really understand what the Suns. I get it. You go back and you're like, well, how did we lose this game? And you're just going to look at those free throws and say, well, that's how we lost it. But no, what you lost was you guys couldn't keep you couldn't corral Bam Adebayo legally, and because of that, you lost. And to sit here and bellyache, oh, we didn't get more free throws. Like, all right, Devin Booker was good tonight. He had a great game, 25 points, 11 to 22. Wasn't fantastic from downtown, but he had a very impressive performance, but it was all jump shots. It was all those impressive, difficult jump shots that he takes. Who the hell is getting to the free throw line for them? Like, who's sitting here complaining? Who's, and it's not like I even saw, you know, it's a funny thing because like sometimes in a game like that, you can get the temperament and you can see guys complaining a lot and you can see guys, you know, kind of getting on it. It's not like even the Suns were belly aching at the referees a lot. I don't even think there was not to my knowledge, I don't think there was a technical foul in this game. So I don't know. I just think it's one of those things where you look at a loss and you're like, well, how did we lose that game? Oh, the free throws. That's why we you're kind of making excuses. What you're not doing is you're not giving the Heat credit for turning you over like crazy on defense and Bam Adebayo being a freight train. The Suns were not a freight train. They were a fadeaway machine. And look, they're very good at it. Don't get me wrong. They have some beautiful shot makers. I mean, some of the shots that Mikal Bridges was making, some of the shots that Devin, but they are unbelievably talented. But let's not sit here and act like you guys deserve a parade to the free throw line. That's a joke. That's a joke to say that. Speaking of fadeaways, by the way, got the Goosies. Couple things. Boots on the ground report. One, real cool teaching moment in the game today. Caron Butler, Nikola Jovic before the game. Caron Butler, two Heat first round picks, one a coach, now one a player. And like a little full circle thing. Caron Butler teaching Nikola Jovic some moves, some cute little pump fake fadeaway moves. I loved it. It was a delight, and it took Jovic a few times to get it done. But and even Gabe Vincent came over and was showing him some pointers. But I thought that was a really cool teaching moment before the game. Really enjoyed that. Wayne Gretzky was at the game today, the great one, some call him that. And perhaps the biggest thing for my Doll fans out there who listen to this channel and watch this channel, Odell Beckham Jr. was at the game. Jimmy Butler gave him a little hugski before. And then Melvin Ingram. I was wondering, I was like, this Dolphins got to show up. It's bye week. Some Dolphins. There's only a game in in town. Some Dolphins got to be showing up. Melvin Ingram sat basically, had him in eyesight. He was sitting next to the Heat bench essentially, and Odell was sitting on the other side of the floor. But at halftime, where it looked like Odell was going, I guess, to go maybe say hi to Jimmy in the Heat locker room, he was dabbing up basically everybody, and then he gets to Melvin Ingram. They were having a little chatty chat. Little something was going on. I don't know if it was just friendly banter. Who knows? But Odell Beckham's still looking for a team. You know, maybe he sees what the Dolphins are doing and goes, So it was good to be boots on the ground tonight. Very, very impressive win for Miami. They needed this one for sure. And now going on the road for 4 and hopefully can start mounting over this 500 mark.